guys, how you doing? I know it's a little late in the day. I don't know, I'm just wore out and tired today, and I probably fiddle farted around too long, but here I am. I'm still doing my video for the week. I thought it would be a little bit fun since I was feeling a little nostalgic. I was thinking about just like doing sales for so long and some of the fun stuff that happened, and it reminded me of working with the newspaper crew and having those kids work under me for a while, and it reminded me of a couple of funny stories that I had. And you guys usually appreciate my stories, so I thought I would tell you a couple of funny stories about those times, and we'll go from there. I still got to drive Uber tonight. I am hoping for a couple of opportunities here through door knocking to get my sales up, because it is such a slow start when you don't have the connections. That's the only thing about being a realtor that I would warn everybody, if you're ever going to go that route, is it's a slow start when you're first starting out, just to get that list of connections. It can be frustrating, but I'm not going to give up. I'll get there. I'm just tired. But anyways, so back in the day, I first started working for the newspaper because my boy's dad, James, his brother, Chris, worked for the paper first. That's how I found the job. And I was looking at how much money he was making versus how much I was making per week. And I was like, dude, I've been doing sales already. Why can't I just try this? And it was an all commission job, so I was a little scared at first. So I basically took a leave from my job just to make sure I could do it in the first place. Sorry, I look like ass today too. Ugh, I look tired. Anyways, I took a leave from my job just to see if I could do it, and so I tried it out, and I made almost double what I was making at my other job at the time, and I ended up only just doing my own sales for 2 or 3 months, and then because I already had a car and stuff, and because my sales were up so I had the ability to train people how to do it and everything, then I was given the opportunity to be a sales manager. And so I started out I just had a 3 to 4 kid crew, because I had a little Geo Prism, which is a little stick shift, kind of easy on gas car, but not the best for running a crew. And I ended up with some really good kids to start out with, and then they kind of filter out, and then over the years, kids go off to college, or they, like I have had hundreds of kids work for me, and some of them are really, really memorable. Some of them I'm still friends with. You guys know who you are. And some of them kind of fade off into the distance, and you never hear from them again. So there's been a lot, but there's been a lot that meant a lot to me too. It was the coolest job because it was like being a second parent to these kids. They were all the time they had away from their families, and their parents was under my care. I mean, they spent probably more time with me than they did with their parents, because they would go to school. I would pick them up from home right after school, and I would get them back right about 9:30 at night after school, and then we would go at least 1 of the 2 weekend days. So I definitely spent a lot of time with them, and it was, I mean, you could look at my past like Facebook posts and stuff. They had a lot of fun too. Sometimes they got on my nerves, sometimes they pissed me off. They attacked me with a water gun once and really pissed me off. I know they were just trying to be funny, but that video keeps on surfacing and it pisses me off every time I see it too. So there's that. But all in all, it was a great job. I did it for 11 years, and it was a lot of fun until it was hard at the end, because the newspaper got harder to sell. We weren't selling newspapers, we were selling subscriptions. And there was a finesse to talking to people, because most of them that we sold it to didn't really want it. So we had to have a way in and a way out and whatnot. And so we had a lot of fun stuff. Like, me and Emily went on this kick for months, where we got all these pictures of us sitting on every animal we could find. Not real animals, like people's porch animals and whatever. Like, we found a giant dog that we had to like push each other up onto, and got pictures on that. We found turtles, and we broke into this guy's yard that had these big dinosaurs in his yard and got pictures on those ones. We had a lot of fun. And there were a couple of like instances that stand out that I still remember specifically. Sales is kind of like a it's an interesting field to get into. Let's just say that, because you have to find that balance, especially when you're a manager. When someone is rude to you for no reason, you have to find that balance of how much shit you can talk to them and get away with it without being super obvious about it, if that makes any sense. And so I remember once I had Emily with me. Actually, I think both of these times Emily was with me, which is funny because me and Millie had a lot of fun, a lot of doors too, and Millie's my best friend now. So but both of these stories are Emily for sure. The first one, I was probably the first or second night I had her working for me, and I was training her, and we were knocking on doors, and we knocked on this guy's door. It was probably 6 o'clock in the evening, and this guy screams through the door, "I'm fucking sleeping," and starts cussing us out through the door. So I get pissed off, and instead of yelling obscenities back at him, I got super sarcastic, and I yelled back through the door, "Oh, well, I'm sorry. Next time I'll use my psychic abilities to know when you're asleep when nobody else in the world is asleep, and I won't knock on your door." And then we turn around to leave, and he rips the door open, and he yells, "What did you just say?" And I stopped. I turned around, and I weighed my options for about 3 seconds or so. And I was like, yeah, fuck it. I said, "I'm really sorry. Next time I will use my psychic abilities to know when you're sleeping and not knock on your door, even though nobody else in the world is asleep at this time, and it is quite a reasonable time to knock on most doors." And then I turned around to walk away. And believe it or not, he started laughing. He backed down. He apologized. He's like, "You're right." He even said, "I'm a total dick." He invited us in the house, gave us water, he signed up, and gave us a $20 tip. So it just goes to show, sometimes you got to give it a shot, right? But I do remember that sometimes we would do crazy stuff just to be crazy, just to be funny. And they were always like, "You won't do this stupid thing like eat a French fry off someone else's plate. No balls." And so, which I did do, by the way, but that's another story. But so we had a lot of fun that way, and when we were, I didn't usually work alone when I had my crew. I would usually get most of the kids out, and then someone would work with me for the night. And it was because it's easier to use one of the kids' lines and just go every other sale than it was using the adult lines, because adults aren't cute and persuasive like kids' faces are when they're out earning money for stuff, But so I was working, me and Emily had broken into this old folks building. And when I say old folks building, I mean it was like an assisted living place, not assisted living. It had like, excuse me, on-call nurses place, and the hallways were inside, but they had their own apartments and they were self-sufficient. So they were adults, but they had medical care in case they needed it. But they loved the newspaper, and we were offering them a deal, and we would usually send them up with an auto stop on it so they wouldn't get billed after. So they could save some money because they're going out and buying it and spending 5 times more. Sorry. 5 times more buying it. So basically, I, at the time, was hanging out with Felipe a lot, who was another manager, and he's still my friend. And I was persuading him how to tell me funny things, dirty things, and bad things to say in Spanish. And I had just learned that comer means to eat, and coger means fuck. I'm so sorry. And when I say fuck, I mean like dirty. Dirty. Coger is like, it's like, when we use the C word, but for Hispanic people. So We knocked on this door, and it was like a kind of, in his 60s white guy answers the door. He likes the deal. He invites us in. And as soon as we get inside, I see an opportunity, and I just couldn't resist. So his wife was Hispanic, same like probably 60s. And you could tell they lived there. And also her mother, who was very Hispanic, like no English Hispanic, in her like mid to late 80s. And there was food on the stove and it was cooking and it smelled really, really good. And so it was Emily's turn for the sale. So I had her at the table with the order form and she was signing up the guy. And I was just sitting on this chair and the two ladies were sitting across from me and they were like, "How you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm doing good." And I said, I played super white girl and I said, "Oh, it smells really good." I said, "Quiero coger," which means I want to fuck. And both of them froze. I mean, like shocked froze. Now I pretended like I didn't notice anything was amiss. And I was just like trying to act proud of myself. And then I went, wait a minute. No, that's not right. And both of them right now are staring at me like, and I was like, that's not right. That's not the right word. Comer. Quiero comer. And they were like, "Oh my God, you want to eat. You're hungry." I was like, "Yeah." So this whole time, they never ever suspected for a second that I knew what I was doing or what I was saying. But I just couldn't resist. And I actually told a couple of old ladies I want to fuck. And, and then played it off and got away with it. And so that's the kind of fun stuff. I know they're kind of like stupid stories, but they're still fun and they're funny. And I was thinking a lot about my crew because I miss some of those guys a lot. Those kids were kind of everything to me for a long time, and a lot of them still are. And so, if any of you guys are watching, I miss you guys. I still love you guys. I'm happy to see you guys growing up and having good, successful lives. It makes me happy every time I see your babies posted and I can see your lives progressing in good ways. One of you just recently, within the last, I think maybe 6 months, got sober and is taking care of your baby, and I'm so proud of you. Again, I'm trying not to, I don't want to mention anyone's names as far as anything that could be construed as negative, because those kids all deserve love and respect, and most of them are just out there doing great, and it makes me really happy. So I love you guys. I miss you guys, and I will see everyone else next week, or those of you guys on my crew who are watching. I'm sure there's a few of you. Actually, I know there's a few of you, but not the point. I just want to tell you guys I'm thinking about you, and I love you, and I miss you guys. And if you have any more stories that you want me to tell and you remember more, because again, I had a relapse after that, and have a tough time remembering everything. So if there's anything that I'm forgetting that you want me to tell about, feel free to message me and let me know, and I will most definitely get to it. Everyone else, I will see you next week. Hopefully I was entertaining this week. And again, anybody wants anything specific, wants me to tell anything specific, anything at all, feel free to message me, let me know, or put it in the comments. I love you guys, and I will see you next week.